I should have died that night. That's what he told me later, anyway. Said it was mercy that I was still breathing. But mercy isn't something the Russian Mafia gives. They take. They destroy. They own. And now I belong to him. My name is Maria Santos. I'm 26 years old. I owned a small bakery in the heart of the city. Past tense. Owned. Because 3 weeks ago, I made the worst mistake of my life. I looked. It was past midnight. I was closing up late again. Flowers still dusted on my apron. My feet aching from a 14-hour shift. My little bakery, mi sueño, my dream. I'd scraped and saved for 5 years to open it, to give my younger brother Diego and me a life our dead parents would be proud of. I was exhausted, thinking about Diego's medical bills, about the shipment of ingredients I couldn't afford, about normal things, safe things. Then I heard it. A gunshot, sharp, close, from the alley behind my shop. Every instinct screamed at me to go inside. Lock the door. Pretend I heard nothing. This neighborhood, you learn not to ask questions. You survive by staying blind. But I didn't go inside. I don't know why. Curiosity, stupidity. Maybe I thought someone needed help. I cracked open the back door. Just an inch. Just enough to see. The alley was dark except for a single flickering streetlight. And there, in that pool of yellow light, I saw him. A man. Tall. Expensive black coat despite the summer heat. Dark hair. And a gun. Still raised. Still smoking. Pointed at the body crumpled at his feet. Blood. So much blood. Spreading across the concrete like spilled wine. He was speaking. Russian, I think. His voice was cold. Emotionless. Like he was discussing the weather. Not standing over a corpse. I should have closed the door. Should have run. But I couldn't move. Couldn't breathe. My hand gripped the doorframe so hard my fingers went numb. And then, Dios mío. Then he turned. His eyes found mine across that alley. Even in the darkness, I could see them. Ice blue. Empty. Dangerous. For a moment, we just stared at each other. Hunter and prey. Predator and victim. Then survival finally kicked in. I ran. I slammed the door, locked it with shaking hands. My heart was trying to break through my ribs. I grabbed my phone, keys, purse. I ran through my bakery, past the ovens, past the counter where Mrs. Rodriguez ordered her pan dulce every morning, past everything I'd worked for, and burst onto the street. The night air hit my face. I ran left. Toward the lights, toward people, toward safety that didn't exist. I made it 2 blocks. 2 blocks before a black SUV cut me off. 2 blocks before 3 men in suits surrounded me. 2 blocks before one of them, massive, scarred, with an accent thick as ice, grabbed my arm and said, "The Pakhan wants to see you." I didn't know what a Pakhan was then. I didn't know his name was Nikolai Volkov. I didn't know he was the most feared man in the Russian Mafia. Real quick, if you love messy, dangerous love stories like this, subscribe. I've got more where this came from, and they don't end the way you think. All I knew was that I was about to disappear, and no one would ever find me. They threw me into the back of that SUV. The door slammed shut. The locks clicked. And sitting across from me, in the shadows, was him, the man from the alley, the killer. He leaned forward into the dim light, and I finally saw his face clearly. Sharp jawline, high cheekbones, those ice blue eyes that seemed to see straight through me. He didn't smile, didn't threaten, just studied me like I was a problem he needed to solve. Then he spoke. His voice was deep, and somehow worse than any scream. You saw nothing tonight. Do you understand? I should have said yes, should have nodded and played along. But fear does strange things. Makes you stupid, makes you brave when you should be smart. So instead, I heard myself say, You killed someone? I saw you kill someone. The silence that followed was suffocating. His second in command in the front seat actually laughed. Pakhan, just eliminate the problem. Why waste time? Eliminate, such a clean word for murder. But Nikolai didn't look away from me, didn't blink. What's your name, Devoshka? He asked, the Russian word dripping with casual dominance. Maria. Maria. He said it slowly, like he was tasting it. Do you have family, Maria? My blood went cold. Diego. Oh God, Diego. My brother, I whispered. He's 16. He has nothing to do with this. Please. Then you'll do exactly as I say. His tone didn't change. Still cold. Still empty. Because if you run, if you talk, if you even think about going to the police, it won't be you who pays. It will be him. Do you understand now? Tears burned my eyes. I understood perfectly. I was trapped. That was 3 weeks ago. 3 weeks since I've seen Diego. Since I've slept in my own bed. Since I've felt like a human being instead of property. Because that's what I am now. Nikolai Volkov's captive. His secret. I don't even know what to call it. What I do know is this. I'm living in a fortress disguised as a mansion, surrounded by men with guns and cold eyes. Sleeping in a bedroom more luxurious than anywhere I've ever been, and more suffocating than any prison. And him, Nikolai, he watches me, studies me, like he's trying to figure out why he didn't just kill me that night. Sometimes I wonder the same thing, but I'm starting to realize something terrifying. In Nikolai Volkov's world, death might have been mercy, because what he's doing to me is so much worse. He's making me see him as human, and that is the most dangerous thing of all. The SUV was moving. I didn't know where, didn't dare ask. Nikolai sat across from me, perfectly still, like a statue carved from ice. His men were silent in the front seat, just the hum of the engine and my ragged breathing. I wanted to be brave, wanted to look him in the eye and demand answers. But bravery is easier when you're not staring at a man who kills without blinking. Tell me about yourself, Maria. His voice cut through the silence. I blinked. What? Your bakery. How long have you owned it? Was this a trick? Some kind of psychological torture before whatever came next? 2 years, I whispered. I saved for 5 to open it. Impressive. He tilted his head slightly. And your brother, Diego, yes? Tell me about him. My stomach lurched. How did he already know Diego's name? Of course he knew. Men like him know everything. He's sick, I said, voice cracking. Chronic condition. Needs medication, regular doctor visits. I work to keep him alive. That's all I do. Work and take care of him. I'm nobody. I don't matter. Everyone matters to someone. His eyes never left mine. The question is, do you matter enough to him that he'll stay quiet if you disappear? My heart stopped. Please. The word broke out of me. Please don't hurt him. He's just a kid. He has nothing. I don't hurt children, Maria. His tone was flat, matter of fact. But I also don't leave loose ends. The man in the passenger seat, the one with the scar, turned slightly. Pakhan, we're wasting time. She saw too much. You know the protocol. Protocol. Meaning a bullet in my head and my body in the river. I couldn't stop shaking. But Nikolai ignored him, kept watching me with those unsettling blue eyes. You're afraid, he observed. Of course I'm afraid. You killed someone. He betrayed me, stole from my organization, endangered my men. Still no emotion. Like he was explaining why he'd fired an employee, not murdered them. In my world, betrayal has one punishment. Then what's my punishment? I demanded. And I don't know where the anger came from. Maybe it was terror wearing a different mask. I didn't betray you. I didn't even know you existed. My crime was working late in my own bakery. Silence. Long, suffocating silence. Then, something flickered in his eyes. Just for a second. Surprise, maybe. Or interest. Most people beg, he said quietly. They cry, promise anything. You're arguing with me. Because this isn't fair. My voice was rising and I couldn't stop it. You can't just destroy my life because I was in the wrong place. I have a brother who depends on me. I have a business. I have had. One word, cold as winter. You had a life, Maria. Past tense. The moment you opened that door, the moment you saw me, your old life ended. The truth of it hit me like a fist to the chest. He was right. Everything I'd worked for, everything I'd built, gone. Just because I'd looked. Tears burned my eyes, but I refused to let them fall. Refused to give him the satisfaction. The scarred man spoke again. Pakhan, decision? Oh. Nikolai studied me for what felt like forever. Then, she stays. My head snapped up. What? She stays, he repeated, this time to his men. With me, under watch. If she tries to run, we eliminate the brother. Scarred man finished. He didn't sound happy about it, but he'd do it. I could hear it in his voice. No! I lunged forward without thinking. Nikolai caught my wrist. Fast. His grip was iron. We were inches apart now. Close enough that I could see the dark ring around his blue irises. Close enough to smell his cologne. Expensive, cold, like winter forests. You want to save your brother? His voice dropped to barely above a whisper. Then you belong to me now. You live where I say, go where I say, do what I say. Your freedom, your choices, your life, mine. In exchange, Diego stays safe, stays healthy. I'll even pay for his treatments. You're buying me. The words tasted like ash. I'm keeping you alive. He released my wrist, sat back. Most people would be grateful. Grateful? I couldn't believe what I was hearing. You're threatening my brother to force me into what? Captivity? Slavery? Protection, he corrected, from the men who'd kill you for what you saw. From the questions you'd face if you went to police. From the hard choices you'd have to make. He leaned forward again, and his voice went even colder. Make no mistake, Maria. This isn't kindness. This is strategy. You're a loose end I can't afford. But you're also intriguing. So I'm choosing to keep you close instead of putting you in the ground. The question is, are you smart enough to accept it? I wanted to scream, to fight, to tell him to go straight to hell. But Diego's face flashed in my mind. His smile. The way he still needed me to check his medications because he forgot. The way he called me every night before bed just to say te quiero, hermana. I couldn't protect myself, but maybe I could protect him. Fine. The word scraped out of my throat. I'll stay. But Diego, you promise he's safe. You promise you'll take care of him. You have my word. The word of a killer. Something almost like amusement crossed his face. Almost. The word of a Pakhan, which, in my world, is worth more than any contract you've ever signed. The SUV slowed, stopped. Scarred man opened the door. And I saw it. A mansion. No, fortress was the right word. High walls, armed guards, security cameras everywhere. Beautiful and terrifying in equal measure. Welcome to your new home, Maria. Nikolai stepped out, then offered his hand. I didn't take it. I climbed out on myself, legs shaking, and stared up at the prison disguised as paradise. One of my men will bring your things tomorrow, and Diego will receive a visit from my doctor, the best in the city, to ensure his treatment plan is optimized. He was true to his word on that, at least. Cold comfort. A woman appeared at the entrance. Older, maybe 60, with kind eyes and a thick Russian accent. This is Anya, Nikolai said. She manages the household. She'll show you to your room. Anya looked at me with something like pity. Come, Девочка, she said softly. Girl, let's get you settled. I followed her inside, through halls that belonged in magazines, marble floors, expensive art that probably cost more than a fortune. Everything beautiful, everything cold, just like him. Anya led me to a bedroom on the second floor, opened the door. I stepped inside and my breath caught. It was huge. King-sized bed with silk sheets, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking manicured gardens, a private bathroom with a tub bigger than my kitchen, a walk-in closet already filled with clothes. Expensive clothes, my size, like he'd planned this. Of course he'd planned this. It's beautiful, yes? Anya said gently. It's a cage. My voice was hollow. She sighed. Da. Yes. But golden cage is better than grave, Девочка. You remember this. She moved to leave, then paused at the door. One piece advice from old woman who has seen much. Do not fall for the Pakhan. I turned to stare at her. What? I see the way you look at him already. Like you are trying to understand, trying to find the human. Her eyes were sad, knowing. This is dangerous. Women who love Nikolai Volkov, they do not survive it. I could never. Good. Keep it that way. She gave me a small, sad smile. Sleep if you can. Tomorrow, he will have rules for you. You follow them, you stay alive, you fight them. She didn't finish. Didn't need to. The door closed softly behind her, and I was alone. I sank onto the edge of that massive bed and finally let the tears come. Silent, hot, terrified. I thought about Diego, about my bakery, about the life I'd had just hours ago. All of it gone. Because I looked. I didn't sleep that night. How could I? Every sound made me jump. Every shadow looked like a threat. I kept expecting Nikolai to come through that door with new demands, new threats. But he never came. By the time dawn broke through those massive windows, I'd made a decision. I wasn't going to just accept this. Wasn't going to be some pretty prisoner who smiled and obeyed and forgot who she was. If Nikolai Volkov thought I'd break easily, he was wrong. I'd survive this. I'd find a way out. I'd get back to Diego. I just needed to be smart, patient, wait for the right moment. Around 6 a.m. I heard movement downstairs. Voices. The smell of coffee drifting up. I got dressed in the clothes from the closet. Jeans, a simple blouse, nothing flashy. Then I opened my bedroom door. The hallway was empty. I started walking, exploring, looking for exits, weaknesses, anything. I made it to the main staircase, started down, and froze. Because there, in the foyer, surrounded by his men, was Nikolai. Except he wasn't in his expensive suit anymore. His shirt was half unbuttoned, sleeves rolled up, and his hands were covered in blood, fresh blood. He was giving orders in rapid Russian. His men were nodding. Taking bodies wrapped in torn plastic out the front door. I must have made a sound, a gasp, something, because every man in that room turned to look at me, including Nikolai. His ice blue eyes locked on mine, blood on his hands, death in his wake. And in that moment, I realized the full horror of my situation. This wasn't just a criminal, wasn't just a dangerous man. This was a monster, and I belonged to him. Maria. His voice cut through the frozen silence. Come down here. It wasn't a request. My legs felt like lead as I descended those stairs. Every instinct screamed at me to run back to my room. Lock the door. Pretend I'd seen nothing. But there was nowhere to run. Nowhere to hide. Not anymore. I reached the bottom of the staircase. The smell hit me. Copper. Blood. Underneath the expensive cologne and fresh coffee, Nikolai studied me with that unreadable expression. You're awake early, Tej. I didn't sleep. My voice sounded steadier than I felt. Understandable. First night in a new place. He said it like I was a guest at a hotel, not a prisoner. Like there weren't bodies being carried past us. One of his men muttered something in Russian, nervous, glancing at me. Nikolai responded sharply. The man fell silent. What? I swallowed hard. What happened? Business. He began walking toward what looked like a dining room. Expected me to follow. I did. What choice did I have? The dining room was as impressive as everything else. Long table, more crystal, breakfast already laid out, Pastries, fruit, coffee, like this was normal. Like this was fine. Sit. He gestured to a chair. I'm not hungry. Sit anyway. The command in his voice left no room for argument. I sat. He poured himself coffee. Black. No sugar. Of course. The men you saw, he said calmly, betrayed our organization. They sold information to our enemies, put my people at risk. He took a sip. They paid the price. You killed them. It wasn't a question. Yes. Just like that. Just decided they should die and made it happen. Just like that. His eyes met mine over the rim of his cup. This surprises you. It horrifies me. Good, it should. He set down his cup. Because this is your first lesson, Maria. This is who I am. This is the world you're living in now. Men who cross me don't get second chances. They don't get trials or lawyers or appeals. They get justice. Swift. Final. That's not justice, I said quietly. That's murder. Semantics. He leaned back in his chair. In your world, maybe. But we're not in your world anymore. We're in mine. And in mine, strength is survival. Mercy is weakness. Hesitation gets you killed. I wanted to argue. To tell him he was wrong, that there had to be another way, that violence wasn't the only answer. But the blood on his hands, now being washed off with a damp cloth one of his men handed him, said otherwise. Since you're awake, he continued, voice returning to that cold business tone, we should discuss expectations. You mean rules, if you prefer. He finished cleaning his hands. The cloth came away red. First, you don't leave this property without my explicit permission. The walls are monitored. The gates are guarded. If you try to run, you'll be caught. And your brother... I know. Bitterness flooded my mouth. You've made that clear. Second, you don't speak to anyone outside this house. No phone calls. No letters. No messages. As far as the world knows, Maria Santos closed her bakery and disappeared. That's the story. You don't contradict it. My bakery. My dream. Gone like it never existed. Third, my men are not your friends. They're not your confidants. Some of them would prefer you dead. Don't give them a reason to act on that preference. A chill ran down my spine. You're saying your own people want to kill me. I'm saying you're a complication in a world that doesn't tolerate complications. The only reason you're alive is because I allow it. Remember that. He stood, buttoning his shirt cuffs. Back to the polished businessman exterior. You'd never know he'd just committed murder an hour ago. Fourth, Anya will find you tasks. Cooking, perhaps. Organization. Something to occupy your time. Idle hands make stupid decisions. So I'm what? Your housekeeper now? You're whatever I need you to be. His tone sharpened. You want to be useful? Prove it. Show me you're worth the resources I'm spending keeping you and your brother alive. The way he said it. So transactional. Like I was an investment that needed to show returns. I stood too, hands clenched at my sides. And if I refuse? If I just sit in that beautiful cage upstairs and do nothing? He moved closer. Not threatening exactly, but his presence alone was intimidating. Then you're not useful. And things that aren't useful. He let the sentence hang. Well, you saw what happens to people who don't serve a purpose in my world. He left after that. Business to attend to. Empires don't run themselves, apparently. Even criminal ones. I stood in that dining room, surrounded by luxury and death, and felt something inside me break. No, I couldn't do this. Couldn't just accept it. Couldn't become some obedient pet who cooked and cleaned and forgot she was human. Diego would understand. He'd want me to try, to fight. I went back upstairs. Anya found me an hour later. The Pakhan says you should rest, adjust. I need fresh air, I told her. Just the gardens, please. I won't try anything. I just need to breathe. She looked at me with those sad, knowing eyes. Duh, okay, but gods will watch. Fine. She led me outside through a side door. The gardens were beautiful. Roses, perfectly trimmed hedges, a fountain in the center. Like something from a fairy tale. Except fairy tales don't have armed men stationed every 20 feet. I walked slowly, casually, trying to look calm while my heart raced. The wall was high, maybe 12 feet. Topped with something. Wire? Glass? Hard to tell. But there, near the back, partially hidden by trees. A section where the security camera was angled wrong. A blind spot. Maybe. I kept walking, memorizing, planning. That night, I waited until I heard no more movement in the halls, until silence settled over the house like snow. Then I slipped out of my room. Down the back stairs Anya had shown me, through the kitchen, out that same side door. The garden was dark. The guards were visible as shadows, patrolling with flashlights. I stayed low, moved between bushes. My heart was so loud I was sure someone would hear it. I reached the wall, found that blind spot. Up close, I could see what topped it. Broken glass embedded in concrete, meant to shred anyone stupid enough to try. But there was a tree, old, strong, branches reaching toward the wall. If I could climb it, get over. Drop to the other side. Going somewhere? The voice behind me was cold, accented. Not Nikolai. I spun around. The scarred man, Dmitri, I'd heard Nikolai call him. His second in command. He stood there with 2 other guards. Flashlight pointed at me. I was just escaping? He smiled, but it was cruel. The Pakhan said you'd try. I didn't think you'd be this stupid this fast. He spoke into a radio, Russian, fast. Then to me, he wants to see you, now. They marched me back inside. Not gentle. Dimitri's hand on my arm was bruising. I was terrified. My whole body shook. What would he do? What was the punishment for trying to escape? The bodies this morning flashed in my mind. Oh God. Oh God. They brought me to Nikolai's office. A room I hadn't seen yet. Dark wood, leather, bookshelves, a massive desk. And behind it, Nikolai. He looked up from paperwork as they pushed me inside. His expression didn't change. Dmitri spoke in Russian. Reporting, probably. Telling him I'd tried to run. Nikolai listened, then dismissed them with a wave. The door closed. We were alone. Silence stretched between us, suffocating, terrible. Then he stood, walked around his desk, leaned against it, arms crossed. Anya told you the walls were monitored. I know. I told you running would have consequences. I know. And yet you tried anyway. He tilted his head slightly. Brave or suicidal? I haven't decided which. I won't just accept this. The words burst out of me. You can't expect me to just live here like nothing's wrong. Like I'm okay with being a prisoner. I expect you to be smart. His voice was still calm. Too calm. I expect you to understand that your choices have consequences, not just for you. My blood went cold. Diego. Your brother is currently asleep in his bed, unharmed, safe. Would you like that to continue? You're a monster. Tears stung my eyes, threatening a sick child. I'm a realist. He pushed off the desk, moved closer. You're not the victim here, Maria. You're the complication. You saw something you shouldn't have. Your choices are limited. Accept reality or... He reached behind him, grabbed something from his desk. My breath stopped. It was a gun. He held it out to me. Handle first. Or you can end this. Right now. Take it. One bullet. Quick. Painless. And Diego gets a trust fund that'll pay for his treatments for life. He'll never know what happened. Just that his sister loved him enough to secure his future. I stared at the gun. At him. At the impossible choice he was offering. You're telling me to kill myself? I'm giving you options. His voice was still that horrible, neutral tone. You don't want to live as my captive. Fine. I understand. But you can't leave. You know too much. So either you stay and make the best of it, or you take the honorable way out. Choose. The gun felt like it was burning just from proximity. I won't. My voice shook. I won't do it. Then stop trying to escape. He set the gun back down. Stop making stupid choices that force my hand. Stop testing boundaries that will break you if you push too far. He moved closer still. Close enough that I had to tilt my head back to meet his eyes. You want to survive this, Maria? Then you need to understand something fundamental. In my world, defiance doesn't make you brave. It makes you dead. The only reason you're still breathing is because... He stopped. Something flickered across his face. Annoyance, maybe. Or confusion. Because what? I whispered. Because I haven't decided what to do with you yet. He stepped back. But I will. Soon. And when I do, you'll follow my decision. Or you'll wish you'd taken that gun when you had the chance. He walked to the door, opened it. Dmitri. The scarred man appeared immediately. Take her back to her room. Post a guard outside her door. She doesn't leave until I say otherwise. Da, Pakhan. Nikolai looked at me one last time. Those ice blue eyes held something I couldn't read. This was your warning, Maria. There won't be another one. 3 days. 3 days locked in that beautiful prison of a bedroom. Guards outside my door. Meals brought on trays by Anya, who wouldn't meet my eyes. No phone. No contact with the outside world. Nothing but silence and my own thoughts. And those thoughts were driving me insane. I thought about Diego constantly. Was he okay? Did he wonder where I was? Nikolai said he was safe, that someone was handling his treatments. But how could I trust the word of a man who'd offered me a gun? I paced that room until my feet hurt. Stared out those massive windows at gardens I couldn't walk in, at walls I couldn't climb, at a world I couldn't reach. By the third night, I was ready to scream. And then, finally, the door opened. But it wasn't a guard. It wasn't Anya. It was him. Nikolai stood in my doorway, perfectly composed, in another expensive suit. Like the last time we'd spoken, the gun, the threat, the horror of it all, had never happened. "Get dressed," he said simply. "Something practical. You have 5 minutes." "Why?" I didn't move from where I sat on the bed. "Because I'm giving you a choice. You said you won't just accept captivity. Fine. Then prove you're worth more than being locked in a room." He left before I could respond. 5 minutes later, dressed in jeans and a simple shirt, I found him waiting in the hallway. He led me downstairs, through corridors I hadn't seen, down to what looked like a kitchen, but not the main kitchen. This one was industrial, professional, huge ovens, stainless steel everywhere, like a restaurant. "This is where my men eat," Nikolai explained. 20 to 30 people depending on the day. The current cook is adequate, nothing more. He turned to face me. "You want to be useful? You want freedom to move around this house instead of rotting in that room? Cook." I stared at him. "You're giving me a job?" "I'm giving you purpose." His tone was matter-of-fact. "You owned a bakery. You know food. My men need to eat. Simple transaction." "And if I refuse?" "Then you go back upstairs, permanently, until I decide you're more trouble than you're worth." His eyes held mine. "Your choice, Maria. Cage or kitchen? Which serves you better?" I chose the kitchen. Of course I chose the kitchen. Because at least in the kitchen I could move, could breathe, could do something other than count ceiling tiles and lose my mind. And maybe, just maybe, I could find a way to use this, to learn the layout, the routines, the weaknesses. That first day, I explored the space, took inventory, found ingredients that reminded me of home, of my bakery, of the recipes my abuela taught me before she died. The current cook, a surly man named Victor, watched me with suspicion, said something in Russian that sounded like a curse. But Anya translated later. "He says you'll fail, that the Pakhan's men don't like change." "We'll see about that," I muttered. That evening I cooked. Not fancy restaurant food, not trying to impress, just real food, comfort food, beef stew, slow cooked until it fell apart. Fresh bread. I'd found yeast and flour, thank God. Roasted vegetables with herbs I found growing in pots by the window. And for dessert? Flan. My abuela's recipe. The one I'd perfected over years. When the men came in for dinner, there was confusion. Muttering. They looked at the food like it might be poisoned. Victor smirked, waiting for me to fail. But then one man, younger, maybe 25, took a bite of the stew. He stopped, stared at his plate, said something in Russian. His voice cracked slightly. The others looked at him, then tried the food themselves. The room went quiet. Then, and I couldn't believe it, One of them smiled. They ate everything, every last bite. And when Nikolai came in later, doing his usual rounds, he found his men actually talking, laughing even. Something Anya told me later was true. He looked at the empty pots, the clean plates, then at me. What did you make? Beef stew? Bread? Vegetables? Flour? I crossed my arms, defensive. Nothing fancy, just food. He walked to the counter where I'd saved a plate. For him, though I hadn't planned to admit it. He took a bite of the stew. I watched his face, expecting nothing. He was made of ice. Men like him didn't react to something as simple as food. But his eyes closed, just for a second. When they opened again, something in them had shifted. Where did you learn to make this? His voice was quieter than usual. My grandmother. She was from Russia. He set down the fork. This is how my mother used to make it. Before. He didn't finish the sentence. But I saw it. Just for a moment. A crack in the ice, humanity. Your mother was Russian? I asked carefully. We were alone now. The men had filtered out, back to whatever dangerous work they did. Victor had left with a grudge, but no ammunition. The meal was too successful. Nikolai leaned against the counter, and for the first time he looked tired. My mother was many things. Russian was the least important of them. He picked up the bread, turned it over in his hands. She died when I was 12, but before that she cooked. Not often, we didn't have much, but when she did. He took a bite, chewed slowly. This bread, exactly like this. I didn't know what to say. This man, this killer, this monster was suddenly just a person. Someone who remembered his mother, who missed her cooking. It was terrifying how human it made him. I'm sorry, I said quietly, that she died. Don't be. She was weak. My father made sure I understood that. He set down the bread. Weakness gets you killed in my world. She proved that lesson well. The ice was back. Walls rebuilding. But I'd seen behind them now, and I think he knew it. The men liked the food, he said, shifting back to business. You'll cook for them regularly. Breakfast and dinner. Anya will help with supplies. And lunch? They were on their own for lunch. Most of them are working. He moved toward the door, then paused. This doesn't change anything, Maria. You're still a prisoner. This is still my world. Don't mistake a warm meal for freedom. I won't, I said. But something in my voice must have betrayed me. Because he turned back, studied me with those impossible blue eyes. You're trying to understand me, he observed, trying to find the person underneath, the one who misses his mother's cooking, who might be reasoned with, saved even. He walked back toward me, slow, deliberate. Let me save you the trouble. That person doesn't exist anymore. He died the same day my mother did. What's left is what you see. Nothing more. He was close now. Too close. I could smell his cologne again. See the faint scar along his jaw I'd never noticed before. I am not a good man, Maria. I will never be a good man. The sooner you accept that, the easier this will be. Maybe, I whispered. Or maybe you just need someone to remind you that you're human. Silence. Long, dangerous, charged. Something flickered in his eyes. Anger? Interest? I couldn't tell. "Careful, Devichka," he said softly. "Hope is a dangerous thing to have around me. It tends to die slowly, painfully." Then he left, and I stood there in that industrial kitchen, heart racing, wondering what the hell I was doing, wondering why I cared, wondering why, despite everything, I wanted to cook for him again tomorrow, to see that crack in the ice one more time. Anya was right. This was dangerous, but I couldn't seem to stop. Time moved differently in Nikolai's world. Days blurred together. Cooking became my routine, my purpose, my way of staying sane. I learned the men's names, their preferences. Dmitri liked his coffee black and bitter like his soul. Alexei had a sweet tooth, always asking if there'd be dessert. Jan Pavel reminded me of Diego, earnest, trying too hard to prove himself. They started to warm to me, slowly, cautiously, but it happened. All except Dmitri, Nikolai's second in command, the scarred one who'd caught me trying to escape. He watched me constantly, with suspicion, with barely concealed contempt. "You're making the Pakhan soft," he told me once, cornering me in the hallway. His English was rough but clear enough. "This is problem." "I'm just cooking," I said, trying to move past him. His hand shot out, blocked my path. "You are weakness, and weakness in this world gets people killed." "Then maybe you should take that up with Nikolai." His eyes narrowed. "I will, when time is right." He let me pass, but the threat lingered. Still, I kept cooking, kept existing in this strange limbo between prisoner and something else. Nikolai came to the kitchen sometimes. Not every day, but enough. He'd watch me work, ask questions about recipes, tell me stories about Russia, the brutal winters, the even more brutal people, the empire his father built on blood and fear. And slowly, impossibly, I started to see him. Not the Pakhan, not the killer, the man underneath. The one who still reached for the bread that reminded him of his mother, who knew every scar on every one of his men's bodies and the stories behind them, who took care of the families of the ones who died in his service, the one who was terrifying and broken and somehow still human. I was in trouble, deep, dangerous trouble, because Anya's warning kept echoing in my mind. Women who love Nikolai Volkov don't survive it. And I was starting to think I might be falling. It was a Tuesday morning when everything changed. I was in the kitchen early, preparing breakfast. The sun was just rising, painting everything gold. I was kneading dough, something meditative about it, therapeutic, when Anya burst through the door. Her face was white, panicked. "Devochka, Maria, you must come. Now, quickly." "What? What's wrong?" "The Pakhan, he's asking for you, he..." She switched to Russian, agitated, then back to English. "Something has happened. Something bad." My stomach dropped. "Diego. Is it Diego? Did something happen to my brother?" No. Your brother is fine." "But you..." She grabbed my arm. "You must be careful now. Very careful. There are men here. Dangerous men. From Chechnya." "Chechnya?" "Enemies," she hissed. "The Pakhan's enemies." They are here to negotiate, but these men, fear filled her eyes. They do not negotiate with honor. They look for weakness, for leverage. What does that have to do with me? But even as I asked, I knew. Of course I knew. I was the weakness. I was the leverage. Anya pulled me through the halls. My mind was racing. Would Nikolai protect me? Use me? Trade me? Did I even matter to him? Or was I just another asset to be deployed? We reached his office. The door was partially open. I could hear voices inside. Nikolai's, cold and controlled, and another, accented differently, crueler, mocking. I hear you've grown soft, Volkov, taking in strays now. How sentimental. Get to the point, Aslan. The point is the territory. You've taken what's mine. I want it back, plus compensation for the inconvenience. You'll get nothing. Then we have a problem. The other voice, Aslan, turned amused. Unless... I hear you have a woman now, living here, cooking for your men like some kind of housewife. How domestic. Silence, dangerous silence. Leave her out of this. Why would I do that? Aslan laughed. She's clearly important. Otherwise, why keep her? Why not just kill the witness and be done with it? This conversation is over. Nikolai's voice went arctic. Leave my house. I'll leave, but know this. I've seen her, my men have seen her, and now we know. The great Nikolai Volkov has a weakness. If you touch her, you'll what? Start a war? More laughter. You're already at war, Volkov. You just don't know it yet. Footsteps. Heading toward the door. Anya yanked me back, pulled me into a side room. We pressed against the wall, hidden. Through the crack in the door, I watched them pass. 5 men, armed, dangerous. And in the center, Aslan, tall, maybe 40, sharp features and eyes like a snake. He was smiling, and then he stopped, turned his head, looked directly at the door we were hiding behind. My breath froze. He couldn't see us. It was too dark. The crack was too narrow. But he knew. Somehow he knew. He smiled wider, said something to his men in what I assumed was Chechen. They laughed. Then he called out, loud enough for everyone to hear. I look forward to meeting you properly, Maria Santos, very soon. My blood turned to ice. He knew my name. He knew who I was. And from the way Nikolai appeared in the hallway, fury blazing in his eyes for the first time since I'd met him, I knew I was in more danger now than I'd ever been. Even more than the night I'd seen him kill. Aslan and his men left. But the air in the house felt different after. Heavier. Like a storm was coming, and everyone could feel it. Anya finally let me out of that side room once they were gone. Go to kitchen, she whispered urgently. Act normal, cook, don't let them see you afraid. Them. The men. Nikolai's men. They're watching you now, deciding if you're worth the trouble you bring. She hurried away before I could ask what she meant. I went to the kitchen. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely hold a knife. He knew my name. Aslan knew my name. How did he know? I tried to focus on cooking, on the familiar motions, chopping vegetables, seasoning meat, the things that made sense when nothing else did. But I felt eyes on me, constantly. Dmitri stood in the doorway, arms crossed. watching. His expression was dark. "This is your fault, he said finally. I looked up. Excuse me? The Chechens, they come here because of you. Because Pakhan is distracted. Weak. I didn't ask to be here." My voice rose despite my efforts to stay calm. "I didn't ask for any of this. Doesn't matter what you ask. Matters what you are." He pushed off the doorframe, walked closer. "You are liability. Target on Pakhan's back. Men will die because of you." "Then tell Nikolai to let me go." Desperation crept into my voice. "I'll leave. I'll disappear. I won't say anything, I swear." Too late. Dmitri's laugh was bitter. "They know about you now. You leave, they find you. Torture you for information. Kill you slowly." He leaned in. "At least here, Pakhan can protect you. Maybe. Maybe? If you're worth it." His eyes were cold. "If protecting you doesn't cost too much, we shall see." He left, and I stood there, knife in hand, realizing the full horror of my situation. I couldn't leave, couldn't stay, couldn't win. I was trapped in a war I didn't start, between men I didn't know, for reasons that had nothing to do with me anymore. That night, after the men had eaten and dispersed, Nikolai came to the kitchen. I was cleaning, scrubbing counters that were already clean. Anything to keep my hands busy, to stop thinking. "Maria." I didn't turn around. "If you're here to tell me this is my fault, Dmitri beat you to it. Dmitri is an idiot." His voice was flat, "and he'll apologize. Or I'll remove his tongue." I did turn then. He was serious. "You can't. He was just... He blamed you for something that's been coming for months." Nikolai moved closer. "Aslan and I have been enemies since before you existed in my world. His brother tried to take territory that was mine. I killed him for it. This was always going to happen. But he knows about me now." My voice cracked. "He said my name." "How does he know my name?" "Because he has sources, spies, people who talk when they shouldn't." Anger flickered across his face. "I'll find them, deal with them. But yes, he knows." "So what happens now?" I set down the cloth I was holding. "He comes for me? Uses me against you?" "He'll try." "And if he succeeds?" Nikolai was silent for a long moment. Then, "He won't." "You don't know that." "Yes, I do." He closed the distance between us. "Because I won't let it happen." The certainty in his voice should have been comforting, but it terrified me. Because it meant he cared. And in his world, caring was the most dangerous thing you could do. "Why?" The question escaped before I could stop it. "Why do you care what happens to me? I'm nobody. Just a witness you should have killed weeks ago." His jaw tightened. "You're not nobody to... Then what am I?" "Complicated." He said it like an accusation. "You're complicated. You cook food that reminds me of things I thought I'd forgotten. You look at my men like they're human instead of weapons. You argue with me when everyone else just obeys." He reached out, slowly. Gave me time to pull away. I didn't. His hand touched my cheek. Warm, despite everything cold about him. You make me remember what it's like to be more than this. His voice dropped to almost a whisper. And I hate you for it. Nikolai, but I won't let them take you. His thumb brushed my cheekbone. I won't let anyone hurt you. That's a promise, Solnishka. Sunshine. He called me Sunshine. In Russian. In that voice. With those eyes looking at me like I was something precious instead of problematic. And God help me. I believed him. I shouldn't have. Should have known better. Should have remembered that promises from men like him were written in blood. But in that moment, with his hand on my face and my heart doing things, it absolutely shouldn't. I believed him. The next week was strange. Security tightened. More guards. More weapons. More tension crackling through the house like electricity before lightning. But for me, things felt almost normal. I cooked. The men ate. Anya and I talked while we worked. She told me stories about Russia, about Nikolai as a young man, about the empire his father built and the price that empire demanded. His father was monster, she said one afternoon while we prepared dinner. Made Nikolai into weapon, into killer. But underneath, still a boy who wanted his mother's love. Is that why he's like this? I asked quietly. Cold. Controlled. Like he's afraid to feel anything. Da. Feelings are weakness. His father taught him this. Beat it into him. Her eyes were sad. By the time the boy realized his father was wrong, already too late, too much blood, too much death. Can't go back. Everyone can change, I said, though I wasn't sure I believed it. Anya just looked at me. Careful, Devichka. You are starting to care. This is dangerous with men like Pakhan. They cannot give you what you want, only what they are. But what if what he was included those moments? The crack in the ice when he tasted food that reminded him of his mother. The way he'd promised to protect me. The softness in his voice when he called me Sunshine. What if that was real too? I was falling. I knew it. Anya knew it. Hell, probably everyone in the house knew it. The only question was whether Nikolai knew. And if he did, what would he do about it? I got my answer sooner than expected. It was a Thursday, market day. Anya usually went into the city for fresh ingredients. Fish, vegetables, specialty items I needed for cooking. Come with me, she said that morning. You've been locked inside for weeks. You need air, sunlight. Even prisoners get yard time. Yes? Nikolai won't allow it. I already ask. He says okay, but guards come too. I stared at her. He said yes? Da. He says you can go, but you stay close to me. You do what guards say, and you come back. She smiled slightly. See? He trusts you now. Trust. What a strange word for whatever this was. But I wasn't going to argue. The chance to leave this house, even with guards, even briefly, felt like oxygen after drowning. We left that afternoon. Me, Anya, and 2 guards. Alexei and Pavel. The younger ones, the ones who didn't look at me like a problem waiting to explode. The market was overwhelming. Sounds, smells, people everywhere. Normal people living normal lives. I'd forgotten what that felt like. Anya moved through the stalls like she'd done this 1,000 times. Probably had. Negotiating prices, inspecting produce, filling bags. I followed, trying not to stare at everything like I'd been in prison. Which, technically, I had been. Maria, look. Anya held up fresh herbs. This is the good cilantro, yes? For your salsa verde? I smiled despite everything. Perfect. For a moment, just one perfect stolen moment, I felt normal. And then I saw him, across the market, standing near a flower stall, watching, not watching the flowers, watching me. Tall, sharp features, snake eyes. Aslan. My blood froze. Anya, I whispered. Anya, he's here. Who? She turned, following my gaze. Her face went white. She grabbed my arm. Alexei, Pavel! But it was too late. Everything happened so fast. Men appeared from nowhere, 6 of them. Maybe more. Moving through the crowd like sharks. Alexei saw them first. Reached for his gun. He didn't make it. The first bullet took him in the chest. He went down hard, people screaming, scattering. Pavel tried to shield me. Brave, stupid boy. The second bullet caught him in the shoulder. He fell. Anya was screaming in Russian, trying to pull me away. But there were too many, too close. Hands grabbed me. Rough, brutal. I fought, kicked, scratched, screamed until my throat was raw. Help! Somebody help me! But the crowd was running. No one helped. No one wanted to be part of this. Something sharp stabbed into my neck. A needle. No, no, please. My vision blurred. My legs gave out. The last thing I saw was Anya's horrified face. The last thing I heard was her screaming, I will tell Pakhan. He will find you. He will kill you all. And then, nothing. Darkness swallowed me whole. When I woke up, I knew immediately something was wrong. The air smelled different, damp, metallic, like rust and fear. I tried to move, couldn't. My hands were tied behind me, rough rope cutting into my wrists. My shoulders screamed from the angle. I was sitting in a chair. Concrete floor beneath my feet. Single light bulb swaying overhead. A warehouse. Abandoned, by the look of it. Water-stained walls. Broken windows high up. No one would hear me scream here. Not that I could scream. There was tape across my mouth. Panic surged through me. My heart hammered so hard I thought it might break my ribs. Where was I? How long had I been out? Was Nikolai looking for me? Did he even know yet? Footsteps echoed through the space. Slow, deliberate, coming closer. And then he stepped into the light. Aslan. He smiled when he saw I was awake. The kind of smile that made my skin crawl. Ah, there she is, the famous Maria Santos. He pulled up a chair, sat down in front of me, too close. Nikolai's little weakness. I tried to speak, to scream, but the tape muffled everything. Shh, no, not yet. First we talk, or rather I talk. You listen. He leaned back, casual, like we were having coffee. You're probably wondering why you're here, why I went through all this trouble. He paused, like he actually expected an answer. It's simple, really. Your Pakhan killed my brother. Took him from me, from our family, from everything. His smile faded. So now, I take what he values. Fair trade, yes? He stood, walked around behind me. I couldn't see him, could only hear his footsteps, feel his presence. I could kill you, of course. Quick, simple. But where's the justice in that? His hand touched my shoulder. I flinched and, no. Killing you would be mercy. And Nikolai Volkov doesn't deserve mercy. He came back around, crouched in front of me. His snake eyes bored into mine. So instead, I'm going to break you. Slowly, piece by piece. And I'm going to make sure he knows exactly what's happening to you. Every single moment. He reached up, ripped the tape off my mouth. I gasped, coughed. My lips were bleeding. Please. I choked out. Please, don't do this. Begging already? How disappointing. I expected more fight from the woman who captured the Pakhan's heart. He stood. But don't worry, we have plenty of time for you to show me what you're made of. He snapped his fingers. Two men appeared from the shadows. Big, armed, dangerous. Take us to the room. Make sure she's comfortable. We start tomorrow. He looked at me one last time. Sleep well, Maria. It's the last peaceful sleep you'll have for a very long time. They dragged me away. Down a corridor. Through a door that screeched on broken hinges. Into a room that was barely a room. More like a cell. Concrete. Cold. A mattress on the floor that looked like it had seen horrors I didn't want to imagine. They threw me onto it. Cut the ropes on my hands just long enough to chain me to a pipe on the wall. Then left. Locked the door. And I was alone. Alone in the dark. Alone with my terror. Alone with one thought screaming through my mind. Nikolai, please, please find me. You promised. You promised you wouldn't let them take me. Please don't let that promise die. Meanwhile, back at the estate, Nikolai was in a meeting when Anya burst through the door. She was covered in blood, crying. Hysterical in a way he'd never seen. The meeting stopped. Every man in the room turned. Anya? Nikolai stood slowly. What happened? They took her. The words came out broken, desperate. The Chechens, at the market, they shot Alexei and Pavel. They took Maria. The room went silent. Dmitri was the first to speak. Pakhan, get out! Nikolai's voice was barely above a whisper. But get out! The roar echoed through the room. Papers flew. A glass shattered against the wall. Everyone scattered. Even Dmitri. Everyone except Anya. She stood there shaking, tears streaming down her face. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I should have protected her better. I should have... Where's Alexei? Nikolai's voice had gone cold. Dead. Hospital. Critical. Pavel too. Survivors from the market. Many witnesses. They saw everything. Black van. Chechen plates. Aslan's men. How long? He cut her off. How long has she been gone? Anya looked at the clock. Her face crumbled. 2 hours, maybe 3. 3 hours. 3 hours Maria had been in Aslan's hands. 3 hours of God knows what. Something in Nikolai's chest cracked, splintered, broke. He'd felt pain before, physical pain. The kind his father inflicted to build character. The kind that came with bullet wounds and knife fights and the brutal education of survival. This was different. This was... He didn't have a word for it. Just a howling void where control used to be. Dmitri! Nikolai's voice carried through the entire house. His second-in-command appeared within seconds. Wary. He'd seen the Pakhan angry before, but never like this. Get everyone. Everyone. I don't care where they are or what they are doing. Here. Now. 5 minutes. Da Pakhan. 5 minutes later, the main hall was packed. Every soldier, every enforcer, every man who carried a gun in Nikolai's name. 40 men, maybe more. Nikolai stood at the top of the stairs, and when he spoke, his voice was ice over Helfa. The Chechens took her. No explanation needed. They all knew who her was. Aslan has Maria, and he's going to hurt her, torture her, break her, all to hurt me. Silence. Heavy. Waiting. So here's what happens now. We burn everything Aslan owns to the ground. Every business, every safe house, every connection, every person who's ever said his name with respect learns to fear it instead. He descended the stairs slowly, each step deliberate. I want him found. I don't care how many bodies it takes. I don't care how many laws we break. I don't care if the entire city has to bleed. You find that warehouse. He reached the bottom, looked each man in the eye. And when we find her, because we will find her, anyone standing between us and Maria dies. No prisoners, no mercy, no hesitation. Clear? D.A. Pakhan. The response was unified, thunderous. Dmitri stepped forward. And Aslan? Nikolai's smile was terrifying, empty of everything except promise. Aslan is mine. I want him alive, conscious. I want him to watch everything he's built turn to ash before I take his life the way he's trying to take hers. He turned to leave, then stopped. One more thing. Whoever brings me information that leads to her, that man gets $1 million. Cash. No questions. Spread the word. By tonight, every criminal in this city will be looking for her. Money talked in their world. $1 million screamed. Back in the room, I didn't sleep. How could I? The room was freezing. The chain on my wrist was just long enough to reach the disgusting mattress, but not the door. Not the window, not that it mattered. It was too high. Barred. Every sound made me jump. Footsteps in the corridor, voices in languages I didn't understand, laughter that made my skin crawl. They were waiting. Aslan said tomorrow. Tomorrow the torture would start. What did that mean? What would he do? My mind ran through horrifying possibilities, each worse than the last. I thought about Diego, about whether he knew I was gone yet, whether he was scared. I thought about Anya, about brave, stupid Pavel who'd tried to protect me, about Alexei. Were they alive? Dead? And I thought about Nikolai. Did he know? Was he looking? Or had Dmitri been right? Was I too much trouble? Would he cut his losses and let me go? No, he'd promised. I won't let them take you. He'd said it with such certainty, like it was a law of physics, inevitable. But he'd also said hope was dangerous around him, that it died slowly, painfully. Was I dying slowly now? I pulled my knees to my chest, made myself as small as possible, and for the first time in years, since my parents died, I prayed. Please, please, God, whoever's listening, I know I don't deserve help. I know I made mistakes. But please, please let him find me. Let someone find me. I don't want to die here. Not like this, not alone. The words echoed in that empty room. No answer came. Just cold and darkness and fear. Hours passed. Maybe 4, maybe 6. Time felt meaningless. And then the door opened. I scrambled back against the wall, heart in my throat. But it wasn't Aslan. It was a woman. Young, maybe 25, and thin, haunted eyes. She carried a tray. Bread. Water. Nothing else. She set it down just inside my reach. Didn't speak. Wouldn't meet my eyes. Please. I whispered. Please help me. Call the police. Call anyone. I'll pay you. There's someone who'll pay anything. She flinched, shook her head frantically, then pulled down the collar of her shirt. I saw it. The scar. Across her throat. Recent. Brutal. They'd cut out her voice. She pointed to the scar, then to me. A warning. This is what happens if you fight. She left quickly, locked the door, and I understood. I wasn't the first woman they'd brought here, and I wouldn't be the last. Morning came. I knew because thin grey light filtered through that high window. I drifted off at some point, exhaustion finally overriding terror. But I woke to the sound of the door opening. This time, it was him. Aslan walked in, looking refreshed, pleased, like he'd had a great night's sleep. Good morning, Maria. How was your first night as my guest? I didn't answer. Didn't have the energy for his games. He tisked. Not talkative. That's fine. You will be. Eventually. They all are. He crouched down to my level, studied me like I was an interesting specimen. You're probably wondering when the torture starts, when I'll start breaking you. He smiled. The answer is, it already has. I stared at him. You see, physical pain? That's crude. Temporary. The body heals. But psychological torture? He tapped his temple. That's art. That lasts forever. He stood, walked to the window. Right now, your Pakhan is tearing the city apart looking for you. My sources tell me he's already killed 17 of my men, burned 3 of my businesses, put $1 million bounty on information. My heart leaped. He was looking. Which means, Aslan continued, he cares deeply. And that's his weakness. Not you, his feelings for you. That's what I'm going to destroy. He turned back to face me. Here's what happens next. I'm going to hurt you. Not too much. Just enough. And I'm going to record it. Then I'm going to send that recording to Nikolai, so he can watch. So he can hear you scream. So he can feel completely powerless to stop it. Terror flooded through me. No! And then, when he's desperate enough, when he's willing to trade anything. Aslan's smile grew. I'll tell him where you are. I'll let him come. And when he does, when he walks into the trap I've laid, I'll kill him in front of you. So the last thing he sees is your face, and the last thing you see is him dying because of you. You're insane, I breathed. I'm thorough. He walked to the door, knocked twice. 2 men entered. The same ones from yesterday. Get her ready. We film in 20 minutes. And Maria? He looked back at me, tried to scream nice and loud. I want the audio quality to be perfect. They grabbed me, started unlocking the chain. I fought, screamed, kicked with everything I had. But there were 2 of them, and I was weak, exhausted, terrified. They dragged me out of that room, down the corridor, into another space. Empty, concrete, a single chair in the center with restraints, and a camera on a tripod. No! No, please! They forced me into the chair. Strapped down my arms, my legs, my chest. I couldn't move, couldn't escape. Aslan entered, rolling up his sleeves. He looked at the camera, smiled. Let's begin. The camera's red light blinked on, and I understood. This wasn't just about hurting me. This was about destroying Nikolai, about making him watch, making him feel every moment of my pain, and know he couldn't stop it. Aslan approached with something in his hand. Metal, sharp. I locked eyes with the camera, with Nikolai, wherever he was, and I mouthed 2 words, find me. Then the pain started. Nikolai hadn't slept, couldn't sleep, wouldn't sleep, not while I was out there. He sat in his office, coordinating, calling in every favor, every contact, every piece of intel as I would later know. The city was bleeding. 7 Chechen operations destroyed in 12 hours. Bodies piling up, and still no location. His phone buzzed. Unknown number. He answered. Volkov. A voice. Distorted. Mechanical. Check your email. Click. Deadline. Nikolai's blood went cold. He opened his laptop. There it was. New message. No subject. Just a video file. His hand hovered over the mouse. He didn't want to open it. Knew what it would be. But he had to see, had to know. He clicked. The video loaded, and his world ended. It was me, strapped to a chair, face pale, eyes wide with terror. But alive. I was alive. Relief lasted exactly 2 seconds. Then Aslan walked into frame. Nikolai's hands clenched into fists, so tight his knuckles went white. Hello, Volkov. Aslan's voice was cheerful, mocking. I wanted to give you an update on your woman. As you can see, she's... well, comfortable might be too strong a word, but alive, for now. He walked around my chair, trailed a finger across my shoulder. I flinched. Nikolai made a sound low in his throat. Inhuman. She's lovely. I'll give you that. I understand the appeal. Those eyes. That spirit. The way she looks at you like you're more than the monster you are. Aslan smiled. But spirit breaks. Everything breaks. You taught me that when you killed my brother. He picked up something off screen. A knife. No? Nikolai lunged forward like he could reach through the screen. So now you get to watch her break, little by little, piece by piece, and there's nothing you can do. Aslan turned the knife in his hand, catching the light. Stop, Nikolai said to the screen, to nothing. Stop. I'll give you anything. Anything. But the video wasn't live. Couldn't hear him. Let's start with something simple, Aslan was saying. I was shaking my head, tears streaming down my face. I looked at the camera, straight at it, mouthed something. Nikolai rewound, watched again. Find me. Then Aslan moved forward. The knife descended, and I screamed. The video was 3 minutes long. 3 minutes of carefully calculated torture. Nothing fatal, nothing permanent, just pain. And my screams. When it ended, Aslan looked at the camera one last time. You have 72 hours, Volkov. 3 days. Then I start taking pieces. Fingers first, then toes. Then, well, you understand progression, Nadis. His smile was poison. Come find her. I'll be waiting. And when you do, we'll finally settle this. May the best monster win. Black screens. Nikolai sat there, staring, not moving. The door burst open. Dmitri rushed in. Pakhan, we have... He stopped, saw Nikolai's face. What happened? Nikolai didn't answer, couldn't form words. He just turned the laptop around. Dmitri watched. His face went hard. Bliad. When it finished, silence hung heavy. Find him. Nikolai's voice was barely recognizable. I don't care what it takes. I don't care who has to die. I don't care if I have to burn this entire city to ashes and scatter them to the wind. Find him. Pakhan. Now. Dmitri left at a run. Nikolai stood, walked to his desk, opened a drawer. Inside was a box. Simple, wooden, old. He opened it. Inside, a photograph, faded, creased. A woman with kind eyes and a gentle smile. His mother. I'm sorry, Mama, he whispered in Russian. You were right. I became him. I became the monster. And now, someone I care about is paying for my sins. He set down the photo, closed the box. Then he picked up his phone, dialed. This is Volkov. I'm calling in the blood debt. Yes, all of them. Every Bratva from here to Moscow. Everyone who owes me. Everyone who fears me. Everyone who's ever used my name. He paused, listened. Tell them I'm going to war. And anyone who stands with me gets a piece of the Chechen Empire when it falls. Anyone who stands against me, his voice went arctic, won't live long enough to regret it. He hung up, looked at his reflection in the dark window. The monster stared back. But for once, that was exactly what he needed to be. Meanwhile, back in the warehouse, they threw me back in my cell. I collapsed onto the mattress. Every inch of me hurt. Burns, cuts, nothing fatal. Nothing that would kill me. Just pain. Endless, calculated pain. And the knowledge that Nikolai had watched. Had seen me scream. Had seen me beg. Had seen me weak. Shame mixed with terror, mixed with agony, until I couldn't tell them apart anymore. The woman came again, the one with the scarred throat, brought water, bandages. She cleaned my wounds with surprising gentleness, wrapped them carefully. I caught her wrist, looked at her. How long? My voice was raw from screaming. How long have you been here? She held up fingers. 8, then formed a circle. Months. 8 months. Did... I swallowed. Did anyone look for you? She shook her head, eyes hollow. I'm sorry. Tears leaked out despite my efforts to stop them. I'm so sorry. She touched my face, gentle, then pointed to herself, to me, made a breaking motion with her hands. We're both broken. Then she pointed up, made a flying motion, but hope flies away. She left. And I lay there in the dark, wondering if she was right, wondering if hope was already dead, wondering if Nikolai would find me in time, or if Aslan would break me first. The door opened again. I tensed, but it was Aslan, alone this time. He sat on the floor near me, casual, like we were friends. That video, your Pakhan has seen it by now. And do you know what he's doing? I didn't answer. He's destroying everything. My businesses, my men. The entire city is becoming a war zone. He smiled. Good. That's what I want. I want him desperate, reckless, emotional. He'll kill you, I said hoarsely. Maybe, probably, even, but not before I kill him. Aslan leaned closer. You see, I know Nikolai Volkov. I've studied him. His one weakness? The thing he can never control? He touched his chest. Heart. He pretends he doesn't have one. But he does, and it beats for you. You're wrong. Am I? Then why is he turning the city red? Why is he calling in every favor? Why? Aslan's smile grew. Is he offering to trade himself for you? My breath stopped. What? Oh yes, that's his latest move. Sent word through channels. He'll surrender, turn himself over to me, unarmed, alone, if I let you go. No. The word came out broken. No, he can't, but he will, because that's what fools in love do. They sacrifice themselves. Aslan stood. I'm going to accept his offer. Tomorrow, at dawn, he comes here, alone, and I let you go, just like he wants. You're lying. You'll kill us both. No, I'll kill him. You? You get to walk away. Get to live with the knowledge that the great Nikolai Volkov died because of you. That your weakness killed him. That's a fate worse than death, babe. Don't you think? He walked to the door. Sleep well, Maria. Tomorrow you become a widow before you were ever a bride. The door slammed, and I understood the final layer of Aslan's torture. He wasn't just going to kill Nikolai. He was going to make me watch. Make me live with it forever. Make me the weapon that destroyed the only person who'd ever promised to protect me. No, I whispered into the darkness. No, no, no. But there was no one to hear. No one to stop what was coming. No one to save us from the impossible choice. His life. Or mine. And Nikolai had already chosen. I didn't sleep again. How could I, knowing what morning would bring? Knowing that Nikolai was coming. That he'd chosen to die for me. The stupidest, most heroic, most devastating choice possible. I spent those dark hours trying to think of a way out. Some escape. Some plan. But I was chained, weak, surrounded by armed men. And even if I could escape, Nikolai was already on his way, already committed to this suicide mission. The woman with the scarred throat came one last time before dawn. Brought bread I couldn't eat. Water I could barely swallow. She looked at me with such sadness, like she knew, like she'd seen this before. Is there... My voice cracked. Is there any way out of this? Any way to stop what's coming? She shook her head slowly, then did something unexpected. She reached into her pocket, pulled out something small, pressed it into my palm. A piece of broken glass. Sharp. From a bottle, maybe. Our eyes met, and I understood. One last choice. One final control. If things went too far, if the pain became unbearable, if living meant watching Nikolai die and carrying that forever, I could end it. Thank you, I whispered. She squeezed my hand, then left. I stared at the glass. It caught the thin pre-dawn light coming through that high window. So small, so sharp, so final. I tucked it into my pocket. 30 minutes later, they came for me. They unchained me, dragged me out of that cell one last time. But not to the torture room, to the main warehouse floor. It was massive. Empty, except for support pillars and debris. High ceiling with broken skylights letting in grey morning light. And in the center, 2 chairs, facing each other, 20 feet apart. They shoved me into one, chained my wrists to the arms, my ankles to the legs. Aslan stood nearby, checking his watch. Behind him, a dozen armed men, maybe more in the shadows. He's late, Aslan said conversationally, very unlike Volkov. He's usually so punctual now. Maybe he's not coming, hope flickered despite everything. Maybe he realized it's a trap. Oh, he knows it's a trap, and he's coming anyway. Because that's what love does. Makes smart men stupid. He walked over, crouched in front of Binchininti. Last chance, Maria. Tell me where his other operations are. His safe houses. His money. Give me something useful, and I'll let you both walk out of here. You're lying. Probably, he admitted with a smile. But wouldn't it be nice to believe? Just for a moment. I don't know anything. It was true. Nikolai had kept me away from all of that, protected me from his world even while I was trapped in it. He never told me. I was just someone who cooked for his men and broke his heart in the process. Aslan stood. Tragic, really. If you'd just died that night in the alley, none of this would be happening. You're the butterfly that caused the hurricane, Maria. How does that feel? Like drowning. Like being crushed. Like the warehouse door shrieked open. Everyone turned. And there he was. Nikolai. He walked in alone. No weapons visible. Hands at his sides. Dressed simply. Black shirt. Dark pants. Like he was going to his own funeral. Maybe he was. But even unarmed, even walking into certain death, he moved like a predator, like something dangerous barely contained. His eyes found mine across that distance, and everything in his face, the ice, the control, the carefully constructed walls, shattered, just for a second. Just long enough for me to see the man underneath, the one who was terrified, desperate, broken, the one who loved me. Nikolai. Aslan's voice was delighted. Right on time after all. Please, sit. He gestured to the empty chair facing mine. Nikolai walked forward, never taking his eyes off me. I could see it now. The cuts on his knuckles, blood on his collar, dark circles under his eyes. He'd been fighting, killing, destroying everything to find me. And now he was here to die for me. Don't, I said as he got closer. Nikolai, don't do this. It's a trap. He's going to... I know. His voice was rough, exhausted. I know, Sonishka, but I don't care. He sat in the chair. Let Aslan's men chain him too. Didn't resist. Didn't fight. Just kept looking at me. Are you hurt? He asked quietly. I'm fine. Don't lie to me. Not now. I'm alive. Tears burned my eyes, which is more than you'll be if you don't leave. Please, Nikolai, please just... No. Simple. Final. I told you I wouldn't let them take you. I meant it. So, instead, you let them take you? My voice broke. That's not better. That's not saving me. You're alive, that's all that matters. Not if I have to watch you die. The words ripped out of me. Not if I have to live knowing you sacrificed yourself for me. Don't you understand? That's not mercy. That's torture. Something flickered in his eyes. Pain. Understanding. I'm sorry, he said softly. But I'd rather die knowing you're safe than live knowing you suffered because of me. Aslan clapped slowly. Beautiful, truly. Better than any movie. He walked between us. But now comes my favorite part. The part where I decide who dies first. He pulled out a gun, checked the chamber, smiled, eeny meeny miny mo. He pointed it at Nikolai, then at me, back and forth like a game. Who should go first? The man who killed my brother? Or the woman who made him weak enough to walk into this? Me. Nikolai's voice was steel. Kill me. Let her go. That was the deal. Oh, Volkov, you're so naive. There was never a deal. There was only ever this. He aimed the gun at Nikolai's head. But you're right. You first. So she can watch. So she can see what her existence cost. No! I lunged against the chains. No, please. Kill me first. Don't make him. Shh. Aslan didn't even look at me. Your turn comes after. Be patient. Nikolai met my eyes one last time and mouthed 3 words. Я тебя люблю. I didn't speak Russian, but somehow I knew. I love you. No, I sobbed. No, Nikolai, please. Aslan's finger tightened on the trigger. Time slowed. I saw everything. The gun. Nikolai's face, calm despite everything. The morning light through broken skylights. The piece of glass in my pocket. The glass. My last choice. My final control. And in that frozen moment, I understood. This wasn't just about me watching Nikolai die. This was about both of us being powerless. But what if I took that power back? What if I made a choice Aslan couldn't predict? My hands were chained, but not immobile. I could reach my pocket, could grab the glass. The gun fired. But not at Nikolai. Aslan screamed. Dropped the weapon. Blood poured from his hand. Chaos exploded. Gunfire. Shouts. Men pouring through doors. Not Aslan's men. Nikolai's. Dmitri led the charge. Dozens of Bratva soldiers. Firing. Fighting. Cutting through Chechens like they were nothing. Now! Nikolai roared. It was a trap within a trap. He'd come here knowing Aslan would never honor the deal, knowing it was a trap. So he'd made it a trap for Aslan instead. Used himself as bait, drew every Chechen to this location, and brought an army. The warehouse became hell. Bullets flying, men dying, blood everywhere. I was frozen, chained to this chair, unable to move, unable to help. Nikolai was shouting orders in Russian despite being chained too, directing his men, orchestrating even from captivity. Dmitri reached him first, cut his chains, handed him a gun. Nikolai didn't hesitate, started firing, moving. A force of nature unleashed. He cut through Chechens with surgical precision. Every shot found a target, every movement purposeful. This was who he really was. Not the man who remembered his mother's cooking. Not the one who called me sunshine. The monster. The weapon. The Pakhan. And God help me, it was terrifying and beautiful and I couldn't look away. He reached me within seconds, cut my chains. Can you walk? Yes. Good. Stay behind me. Don't look. Don't stop. We're leaving, cows. He grabbed my hand, started pulling me toward the exit. Volkov! We turned, Aslan, bleeding, holding a gun in his good hand, aimed at me. You think you won? You think this is over? Nikolai moved instantly, put himself between me and the gun. It's over, he said coldly. You lost. Then we both lose. Aslan's smile was blood-stained, insane. Because if I can't kill you, I'll take what you love. Fair trade, remember? His finger moved to the trigger, and I saw it, saw the angle, saw that even with Nikolai in front of me, the bullet would go through him, would kill us both. No, I'd made my choice. I pushed Nikolai aside, threw myself in front of him instead. The gun fired. Pain exploded in my side, white hot, all-consuming. I was falling, no, being caught. Strong arms, familiar cologne. Maria, Nikolai's voice. Destroyed. No, more gunfire. Aslan's scream, cut short, then Dmitri's voice. He's dead, Pakhan. Aslan is dead. I don't give a fuck. Get a doctor now. I was being lifted, carried. Everything was blurry. Stay with me. Nikolai's face above mine, for once completely unmasked. Terror, anguish, love. Stay with me, Solnishka. Don't you dare leave me. Don't you fucking dare. Had to, I whispered. Each word hurt. You said you'd rather die, Dad, than watch me suffer. That's different. No? I tried to smile and failed. It's exactly the same. I love you, Nikolai. I love you, so I had to... Don't say goodbye. This isn't goodbye. He was running now. I could tell from the movement. We're going to fix this. You're going to be fine. You're going to... Tell Diego... Everything was getting dark. Tell him I'm sorry. Tell him I love him. You'll tell him yourself. But the darkness was closing in. Warm, almost peaceful. The last thing I felt was Nikolai's arms around me. The last thing I heard was him screaming my name. And then, nothing. I woke up in a hospital room. White walls, beeping machines, the sharp smell of antiseptic, and beside my bed, slumped in a chair, was Nikolai. He looked destroyed, unshaven, dark circles like bruises, still in blood-stained clothes. My blood. Nikolai? My voice came out as a whisper. His head snapped up, eyes widening. Maria! He was at my side instantly. You're awake. Thank God. Thank fucking God. He grabbed my hand, pressed it to his forehead, and I felt it. Wetness. Tears. Nikolai Volkov was crying. I thought I'd lost you. His voice broke. The bullet. You lost so much blood. I won't survive losing you. Do you understand? I can't. I'm here. I squeezed his hand weakly. I'm okay. You took a bullet for me. You pushed me aside and... He looked up and his eyes were raw, devastated. Why? Why would you do something so stupid? Because I love you. The words came easily now. No point hiding them anymore. I love you, Nikolai. I've loved you since you called me sunshine. Since you tasted my food and saw your mother. Since you promised to protect me and actually meant it. Maria, let me finish. Tears slid down my face. I love you, but I'm terrified. Terrified of what that means in your world. Terrified of what almost just happened. Terrified of... He kissed me. Cut off my words with his mouth. Desperate. Fierce. Like he was trying to breathe life back into me. When he pulled away, his forehead rested against mine. Then I'll burn my world down before I let it touch you again. His voice was a vow, a promise written in blood. I swear it, Solnishka. My world, my empire, my life, none of it matters if you're not in it. Nikolai, I love you. He said it like a confession, like absolution. I've loved you from the moment you argued with me instead of begging. From the moment you looked at me like I was human instead of monster. I love you. And I will spend every day proving I'm worthy of that love. You don't have to prove... He kissed me again. This kiss was different. Not desperate, not frantic, passionate, deep. Like we were the only two people alive in the entire world. Like nothing else mattered. Not the war, not the danger, not the blood. Just us. His hand cupped my face. Gentle despite the violence in his soul. My fingers tangled in his hair. Pulling him closer despite the pain in my side. When we finally broke apart, both breathless, he whispered, "Ya tebya lublю, Solnishka, forever." I love you too. I whispered back, always. For one perfect moment, everything was okay. For one stolen breath, we were just two people in love. Then exhaustion pulled me under. And I slept, safe in the knowledge that Nikolai was da-da-da, that he'd keep me safe. That we'd survive the worst. I should have known better. I woke to sunlight streaming through the hospital window and an empty chair beside my bed. No Nikolai. Panic spiked through me immediately. Nikolai? Nothing. The door burst open. Anya rushed in, her face pale with terror. Devuchka, thank God you are awake. Where's Nikolai? I tried to sit up. Pain screamed through my side. Where is he? He's gone. Her voice cracked. He left 2 hours ago alone. What? Gone where? To meet Aslan's contact. They sent message. They want to negotiate. End the war. But it's trap. I know it's trap. Dmitri knows. Everyone knows. But Pakhan, he won't listen. He says... She choked on a sob. He says if he can end this, you'll be safe. That's all that matters to him. Your safety. So he goes alone, unarmed. To the docks. To warehouse where... No. Ice flooded my veins. No, he can't. It's a trap. They'll kill him. They'll... I ripped the ivy out of my arm, ignoring the alarms, ignoring the pain. Maria, no! You're too weak. I need to stop him. I stumbled out of bed. The room spun. Where? Which warehouse? The old shipping warehouse? Dock 7. But Maria, you cannot... I was already moving, grabbing clothes from the cabinet, dressing despite screaming pain. Call Dmitri. Tell him to get there. Tell him... My voice broke. Tell him the Pakhan needs backup. Now! I ran. Through hospital corridors. Past shouting nurses. Into the street. A taxi. I threw money at the driver. Dock 7, as fast as you can. There's 500 extra if you get me there in 10 minutes. He drove like a madman, and I prayed. Prayed I wasn't too late. Prayed Nikolai was still alive. Prayed I could save him the way he'd save me. The taxi screeched to a stop outside the warehouse. I threw money at the driver and ran. The warehouse door was open. I could see figures inside. 20 men, maybe more. All armed, all surrounding. Nikolai! He was on his knees in the center. Hands bound behind him, blood on his face. Surrounded. And standing behind him with a gun to his head. Aslan. Alive. Impossible. But there he was. Every head turned toward me. No. Nikolai's voice was hoarse, desperate. No, Maria, run. But I couldn't, wouldn't. I walked forward, into that warehouse, into certain death. Let him go. My voice didn't shake, somehow. This is about me, isn't it? I'm what you want. Aslan smiled. That snake smile. The little bird flies into the cage willingly. How poetic. He walked around Nikolai, gun still aimed at his head. You are right. This is about you. The great Nikolai Volkov, brought to his knees by a woman, by love. He laughed. Pathetic. He looked at me, those dead eyes filled with cruel amusement. So here's my offer, little bird. Aslan's voice was silk over steel, a choice, the kind that defines who we really are. He pressed the gun harder against Nikolai's temple. Option 1. He dies. Quick. Clean. Bullet to the brain. And you walk free. Go back to your brother, your life, forget this ever happened. Maria, don't listen to him. Nikolai started. Aslan hit him. Hard, blood sprayed. I'm talking. Then he turned back to me. Option 2, you take his place. Come with me. Become mine. My prize, my revenge, and Hildi's gets to watch you belong to me. Gets to know that his weakness cost you everything. The warehouse went silent. Every eye on me. Don't, Nikolai roared. Maria, I'm ordering you, run, get out of here now. But I wasn't looking at him. I was looking at Aslan. If I come with you, you let him go. He lives. Maria, no. He lives, Aslan confirmed. You have my word. The word of a man who faked his own death. The word of a man who keeps his promises. Unlike your Pakhan, I don't lie to the women I claim. His smile widened. So? What's it worth to you? His life? I looked at Nikolai finally. At the man I loved. The man who'd sacrificed everything for me. Who'd walked into this trap knowing he'd probably die. At the ice-blue eyes now blazing with fury and terror and love. Everything, I whispered. His life is worth everything. Maria, please. His voice broke. Please don't do this. I'm not worth. You're worth everything to me. Tears streamed down my face. You told me once you'd change your world. I told you I'd change it for you. I stepped forward. This is how. No, Maria. Aslan's smile turned triumphant. Release him. He gestured to his men. They cut Nikolai's bonds. He lunged for me immediately. But chains I hadn't seen snapped tight, around his ankles, bolted to the floor. He was free, but trapped. Could move, but not reach me. No! He fought against the chains, roaring. Let her go! Aslan, I'll give you anything, anything! You already did. Aslan grabbed me, arm around my throat, gun to my temple. The Pakhan's weakness is now my prize. He'd dragged me backward, toward the open warehouse door, toward the black SUV waiting outside. You took my brother from me, Volkov. Aslan's voice was poison. So I take your heart, and I'm going to break it. Slowly, piece by piece. I'll kill you! Nikolai was pulling at the chain so hard blood ran down his ankles. I'll burn the world to find her. You'll do nothing. Aslan was at the door now, dragging me with him. Because if you come after her, if you try to find her, I'll send her back to you in pieces, starting with her fingers, then her toes, then find me. I locked eyes with Nikolai one last time. Promise me you'll find me. Maria! Aslan shoved me into the SUV, slammed the door. Through the tinted window I saw Nikolai, saw him fighting the chains, screaming my name, face contorted with anguish and rage, saw his men finally arriving. Too late. Always too late. Saw Dmitri reaching him, trying to calm him. Saw Nikolai throw everyone off, turn toward the SUV. His face transformed. From anguish to something far more terrifying. Pure, murderous, rage. His lips moved. I couldn't hear through the glass, but I read them. I'll burn the world to ash, Solnishka. I'm coming for you. The SUV started moving, driving away, taking me from him, taking me toward whatever hell Aslan had planned. The last thing I saw was Nikolai pulling out his phone, shouting orders. Call everyone! Every Bratva from Moscow to Berlin! Every man who owes me! Every favor, every debt! His voice carried even as we drove away. We go to war.
Maria's sacrifice saved Nikolai's life. But at what cost? Will the Pakhan find her before Aslan breaks her? Or will love cost them everything? Part 2. Coming soon. Hit that subscribe button now so as not to miss it when it does.